Hi, it's Daniel here from Untitled.com. Do you remember the first time that you used a cell phone? It may not have been that long ago for some of the younger people on here, maybe a couple of years ago. In the 80s when phones were the size of bricks and sometimes you had to carry a battery pack around with you that was the size of a car battery nearly. So what we're going to do from now on is we're going to try and go back, do some reviews of some of the old phones that come out in the past so you can either see what they look like or just reminisce about the phones in that particular time. The phone that we're going to look at today is the Motorola StarTAC. This phone was the first flip phone, the very first real flip phone. There were lots of phones that had flip out shells. That was just a cover covering it. Whereas this phone that you're going to see now from 1996, actually the speaker and the battery are in the top half of the clamshell. It's integrated and the rest of the phone is down here. This phone was amazing for 1996. It is a very small phone. It seriously is actually probably smaller than a lot of phones on the market even now. One thing noticeable about this is it's got the extended antenna. So the antenna used to be extended so you could get better coverage or get that radiation away from your body. It's amazing that some phones these days don't visibly see the antenna. So you've got to wonder about that radiation sometimes. But that was optional. You could lift it up or down. It was a different network at the time. So this is not a GSM phone and it is not a CDMA phone. This particular phone is a TDMA amps phone. In fact, they kept making these phones and revising it, same basic looking phone up until 2002. By the time the ones that came out, 2002 came out, they were GSM and there was CDMA models. You could put a SIM card in them. There is a company in France that is actually refurbishing these phones and reselling them because of the popularity and how nice they are to use. This particular phone, because it was so small in its day, was actually used in a lot of Hollywood movies like 8mm with Nicolas Cage and The Game with Michael Douglas. So if you watch any of those movies, you'll see this phone. 1996 doesn't seem that long ago. I mean, it doesn't seem that long ago to me really. I can't remember 1996, but I know it wasn't that long ago. Very hard to get hold of in many countries, as not many people own mobile phones around that time, or cell phones around that time. Anyone who was seen with one of these walking down the street was usually someone really professional, someone who was on a good income to be able to afford to buy this phone. It's just amazing to use. This one still powers up and it's got an LED screen, coloured LED screen, so you can make calls on it. You can't send texts with this one, but it doesn't make calls either anymore because the network's unavailable. I absolutely love this phone. If anyone out there collects phones, this one I've got no doubt would be in your collection. This is a walkie-talkie from 1976, the Motorola StarTAC phone. So anyone who lived in that 20-year gap saw big giant communication devices like this, where everyone could hear you, to something like this. This was space age. In fact, the StarTAC name actually came from the communicators that were actually used on the Star Trek movies in the 1960s, because they had some devices like this that you could use, etc. We've got a page up on Montec.com that has all the details of this phone, and we've got links on how you can get a refurbished one from France. We've got them in all different colours and stuff like that. If you're a fan of a lot of those action movies in the late 90s, and there was lots of good ones, probably hundreds of films during that period of time where this phone was used, because at the same time, other phones that came out in 1996 were actually very, very large. This is a phone next to it. This phone is as a prepaid phone from AT&T, which has come out more recently. That's a very small little phone. You put them side by side, there is not much size difference. Some people might not know about this phone. If anyone else remembers their parents owning one of these phones, or they owned this phone themselves back in the 90s, let us know. Let us know below, or go on to Wantec.com and tell us your experiences with this phone. As I said, this phone doesn't work because the particular network doesn't, operate anymore. Oh, it's ringing. Hello? How you doing? Yeah, I'm just doing a review on a phone right now, mate. I might have to call you back. Okay, see ya. That was weird. Hope you enjoyed this review, and we'll bring you more new phones and more retro phones in the future. So, bye for now.